In today's episode, you'll learn all about what it's like living in a small village in Greece amongst ruins and 400-year-old homes. Be sure to stay to the end and learn all about native Greek diets and food forests. Welcome to Unfiltered with Ava. That's me, your host. Perpetually curious, I love interviewing intriguing people across the globe every chance I get. Hi, Maggie.
Hello, Ava.
This is my guest, Margaret Ross, and I actually have been friends with her since a shocking second grade. We were in Brownies and Girl Scouts together. She was like a year older than me. And so she's been living in, is it Naxos?
Naxos Island.
Naxos Island, Greece for the last decade?
And some years on that.
Really?
Yeah.
So over a decade. Wow.
2009 is when I made the Exodus.
Okay. So did you say Exodo?
Exodus.
Exodus. Yeah. Okay, cool.
Okay, sorry, because that's the Greek word.
Exodo? Okay, cool. So that was my first question. How long have you lived in Greece? So you said when?
2009.
2009.
Is when I moved here permanently.
Wow. So I'm going to say like almost 15 years.
It's getting up there. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not counting.
So what do you like the most and the least about living? Well, first of all, let's start with what you like I could only have 11 questions, so I had to combine this into two. So what do you like the most and the least about Greece?
The most, I suppose, for me, the wild nature and just the awe-inspiring beauty of this place is a lot. And I also like sort of my whole idea was to think about living a more simple life. The village scene, the village style, not having to look at billboards and strip malls and things like this was kind of refreshing for me. But as time goes on, things are never always, to keep it simple. It's very difficult to.
So before you tell me what you don't like, so I'm hearing what you're saying, and I think so this is my first interview for those of you that are watching, and it's built on an 11 question format, 11 questions, changing your life with 11 answers. But I do have to stop you because I want to know a little bit more. I know in Miami there's this nature area where they're requesting to post billboards, and a lot of people were really upset about it. And when I drive out west and I pass through certain areas like Nevada, for example, it's just filled with billboard after billboard after billboard. These are absolute eyesores. And to be honest, I mean, in my opinion, what they're advertising that's not like a food or a restaurant. They're advertising like things that you wouldn't think would be on a billboard for immediate use, or that couldn't be put on a street sign, right? And then I know you were talking about the untouched, it's what I would call untouched beauty in Canada, for example. When you go up there, it's just such raw virgin beauty, nature. So is that kind of what you're talking about when you're alluding to the nature in Greece?
Yes, and more simplified, the village style. You have a couple of restaurants, you have the mini market, the cafe, everything's close together, connected, very neighborhood. And without all of this over consumerism and, for me, I guess that was refreshing.
Are you ever like, I need another cafe to go to, or I wish there was another restaurant, market, whatever?
I mean, no, it's like if okay, so if I come back, okay, I do miss, Thai food and,
More variety or diversity.
Diversity of certain things. But for me, it's like I don't miss that until I like go and experience again. And it's like, oh wow, I really miss this. So I'm okay with that. It's not like something that is I'm thinking about every day. Oh, I must have Thai
You're
food.
like, I need some pho.
No, I don't. No, I don't feel like that at all.
So on that note, is it kind of like stepping back in time?
Oh, in some respects, yeah, in some
Yeah.
respects. But we have all the modern. It's not like I live on, in Hobbiton.
But you do
Uh,
walk on cobble roads. And
yeah,
you do live in a 400-year-old house. Am I mistaken?
yeah. The house is that, yeah, probably that old, and there are ruins literally next door. But it's nice. I don't have other houses on top of me.
Yeah. So
So,
Maggie lives around ruins. It's really really cool. She's walked me through it and it's exciting. So what do you like the least besides not having Thai food?
Chrissy, that is Chloe, and yes,
Hi, Chloe.
um, my new kitchen. She just collapsed all the dishes in the
Little
kitchen.
cutie
So
bunny.
I guess that's one complaint. Like my little tiny kitchen has just a shelf above the sink that holds the pots and pans. So there are no cabinets, and the cat is going and knocking everything down. But and we were the question was
What do you like least about Greece itself? Like the town environment, people culture,
okay. The least is the bureaucracy.
the bureaucracy, the red tape.
Yes,
I hear that
exactly.
all the time. Like,
It I mean it makes like the States and Germany like a walk in the park. You have to
mm,
deal with
comparing it
taxes.
to Germany.
You spend a lot of time.
That's one thing that holds me back a little bit from staying long term in like Mexico or Portugal, especially has always drawn me, even Brazil. And one of the things that hold me back is just I don't think it would be very difficult for me to deal with anything slower than the United States.
Oh, now, every time I call the U.S.
The red tape.
embassy, the red tape, no, but when I call the U.S. embassy, it's like, okay, we'll send you this paper right away, or it's like I get an answer right away, and it's like, oh wow, that's kind of refreshing because it
No,
really is
I
that is
I couldn't do anything slower than that. Like, no.
well,
I mean,
a
I
lot of
guess
things.
I could, but it would take some, you know.
Yeah, no, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't recommend it. I don't recommend it for
I
everyone.
mean, yeah. Okay. So that's the
This
least
is
you
what
like.
you have. Yeah, you have to get used to this slower
You
pace
just,
of
yeah,
here.
you're in a different culture. So, what is the weather like? I know me and you have talked about this. It's kind of nerdy of me, but I really am a weather junkie. And I really started getting into weather whenever living in Indiana, which we're both from, for anyone who's watching that doesn't know. We both were born and raised in Indiana, and the winters, people don't realize this, are sometimes colder than Alaska, and the humidity is actually sometimes higher than Thailand. I have compared them live. I've documented this. And then when I went out west for 3 years in California in the high desert, which is LA, guys, the high desert is Los Angeles and the surrounding areas. Um, I just really notice the weather change. It'd be like 90 during the day and it would be freezing at night by 5 o'clock. By sundown, you had to have a warmth, right? There's no wearing sundresses at night like in Florida. And that's also
Right.
when I begin to get really dry skin, really dry eyes, and climate, especially with the Rockwell School of Holistic Medicine, which I'm the founder of. One of the things we teach are spa and weather therapies. And
Uh,
we talk about how, number one, low iodine can cause dry eyes and dry skin, but our climate and our environment and our actually humidity play factors. So when I talk to people, I'm like, what is the weather like there? What is that
mhm.
experience? And Maggie has told me in the past that it's similar to California. So tell me a little bit about that. And kind of when you tell me about it, tell me about what kind of fruits and vegetables grow in that climate.
Oh yeah, well, very similar to California for fruits and vegetables, olives, avocados, citrus. Uh,
When you say citrus, let's talk about citrus. We're talking about tangerines, limes, lemons, oranges. And different,
Yeah, everything except
of
for
oranges, like blood oranges, regular oranges.
blood oranges, four different types of oranges, tangerines. Limes don't do well because they're a summer fruit. So all
Okay.
the winter citrus do really well because we have very wet, humid, cool winters, but no freezing temperatures.
So
So, and then
the limes bloom in the winter when it's no, the limes bloom in the summer, spring, you said.
they're ripening now. Now it's December. Now we're getting the first harvest of our oranges and tangerines.
So I know in California, when I was there, we had a blood orange tree, and we
Mm-hmm.
would harvest in the winter, just the whole table
Yeah.
full of oranges on a little dwarf bush orange, blood orange tree. And I literally have never had better oranges in my whole life. But you're saying that the limes, are they not at the same time because of something
The limes don't do well here because
at
they're
all?
a summer citrus. Yes, they don't sell limes. We can't find limes.
Oh,
Nobody grows limes. So
who would have known
they're
that?
very special out. They have to be imported if you want a lime.
That is
Uh,
so funny. And
but
people,
yeah,
I would think that if you have oranges or citrus of any kind, I would just think that lime would be in there. Because I know in Cali, it is actually, I feel like I've seen limes on trees before, but I'm like, I'm questioning myself now. I'm like, were they all just oranges, tangerines, and lime and lemons? Now you have me really questioning myself after 3 years there.
yeah. And Valencia
Am I
orange.
tricking myself? So I would have to find out. That's really, really interesting. What drove me crazy is that nobody uses them. And I really feel that wherever you're growing, whatever is native, I feel like you should be using a lot of it at least in season. So if avocados are growing everywhere, like when they're in season, I feel like you should be consuming those really on a daily basis. I feel the same way about lemons. And they keep for a long time when you grow them at home. They don't rot and go bad like the ones that we buy at the store and mold quickly. So
Mhm.
I just feel like whatever's grown locally really well and hardy is what we really should be consuming a lot of. And you think of vitamin C, um, we really need that in really high sun areas because the sun, it can be really, even though it gives us vitamin D, the harsh climate of the desert can be, depleting on our constitutions, and it helps protect us from the sun, right? From the, oxidation and all that kind of stuff. So you have a lot of citrus, and then figs, which is
Yes,
exciting.
figs,
I love
grapes,
figs.
winemaking, olives, most of the olive trees, and there's
Let
some
me ask you
ancient.
about the figs though. So if I were living in an area that had figs, I'd be like making fig jam, fig jelly. I would be like bathing in figs. Yes.
Yes, you will be bathing in figs if you come. Yes,
To me, I'm just like heaven.
it's
No,
figs. They grow like a weed. There's figs growing in the cracks in the sidewalk with figs. They're like this big, but there's like figs on them.
how incredible.
Party. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I have something in my eye. Okay, so olives. Now, let me just say something about olives. First of all, I'm obsessed, not just because of olive oil. I really find a lot of olive oils taste off, or just too pungent, but I still love olive oil. I mean, it's a therapeutic agent. It's great for our foods, especially cold foods like salads. It's not something you want to be like frying your French fries in, but you can add it to meats that already have like water and juices in it. I've heard some people say, "Oh, you don't add olive oil to any hot food at all," and I just don't agree with that level of. I think I consider that fanaticism. But again, you don't want to fry your French fries in it, people. On that note, olive trees have my heart. I have a picture. I have a stock art photo of a row of olive trees, and they have to be one of the most beautiful trees in the world. Would you agree?
They're amazing. There are some old groves here that are up to 3,000 years old.
And they're still
And they
relatively small for being so old. They're like, you want to respect them and treat them with reverence, right?
they turn into the way they grow. It's like there's one that just looks like a hand. It's like coming out, and they're so sculptural. They look like
They're like a piece
limbs.
of art.
Exactly.
They are living art.
Mhm.
And we should really, really respect them completely. And so olives again, are they just growing out of your ears everywhere, or is it only certain areas? Are they cheap? Are they easy to access there?
Yeah, the whole island is pretty much every almost every farm has olive trees. So there's so many that there's some people that can't keep up and they can't even harvest them because it's time consuming and laborious. So it takes about, it takes a week to harvest the olives, but
Have you ever got to participate in anything like that, like an olive or olive harvest?
every year, yeah, for the last every year we harvest olives.
Do the different
10 days
olive,
out of Mhm.
so it's a really common thing. So everybody's kind of chipping in the community, it sounds like.
Exactly.
Now, do the different olive species trees look a little different? Can you tell by looking at a tree what kind of olive it's going to have? Or not?
Most of the trees are the same.
Okay.
And just like citrus, you can change the DNA. You can graft them to grow if you want to grow calamatas or bigger olives and eating olives. You can take any olive tree stalk and then change it if you want to.
So you
You
would
can
just change a portion of it, right? Because you can't rebuild the whole tree. So it's going to grow some old olives and some new if you
It'll
graft.
grow. You graft it, you chop the top off and then you put the grafting in and then it grows
Oh,
the new.
I would
Yeah.
never cut a tree unless it was a baby. Um, I know that they do a lot of cloning and stuff like that with cannabis. So, okay, so olives are everywhere. So if I want to live on olives, or you're telling me it's pretty affordable because over here they're sky high.
Well, yeah, I mean, I suppose, of course, if you grow your own, I think it's worth it to work 2 weeks out of the year, to work 2 weeks with
I
all
would
your
love it.
family.
I would love it.
You have your oil for 2 years. I mean,
You press your own olives and make your own olive
we
oil.
we pressed 120 liters just last year, and that's, I mean,
Incredible. That's
and
dream. So now let's talk about some other foods and fruits. So what else is there? Are there pomegranates?
oh
That's my
yes,
favorite.
now is the season for pomegranate. Yes,
I'm obsessed with them.
yes,
Do you love them? I mean, are you like drinking pomegranate juice? Are they everywhere? Are they like,
yeah. I mean, we planted about 60 trees, bushes, shrubberies. Yeah. So
so do you sell those at the market?
yeah, they sell them to the cafes, the juice bar in the town.
Nice, nice. Now,
So
do
whatever we don't consume as a family, we sell the excess to the local cafes and
do
shops.
they keep a while? Do they keep a couple months?
They do. They'll keep if they don't have any problems with the bugs or
Right.
anything, then they can keep up until January, February.
Now, did you say avocados too or no?
Avocados, yeah.
Okay. So is that like heaven?
That's heaven. But there's issues with the avocados. You have to have the A type and B type, and then also the fruit drop. Okay, so we've been struggling with avocados a little bit because of the flies and sort of, you know,
So they're not
that's
trouble free.
they're not trouble free. And then that's where my philosophy of trying to make an actual solid ecosystem with
Which we're going
permaculture.
to talk about.
Okay.
That's on here. Okay, so before we get into that, because if I skip one, I might not I might lose my spot. So let's talk about your profession as a side note. Now, for most
Yeah.
people that are watching, I mean, when I think of Greece, I do think of statues. So it just so happens that when Maggie and I were growing up, there was a local sculptor. And if you've ever seen Edward Scissorhands, that's the only thing I can compare it to. Even though honestly, I haven't watched like any of that stuff for 20 years or more. Oh my gosh. That's what it reminds me of. There was a man in our town who was a mad sculptor, and his entire yard, would you say 3 acres or more,
10
full
acres. 10 acres.
10 acres full of statues. And Maggie got to apprentice with him, and she was really, you got really serious about it, and it's now your career.
It,
You're a sculptor.
yeah, the first time I drove by there, I was 17. And I was thinking the whole time I grew up in this town, there was nothing interesting or cultural or some, I don't know. I don't know. That place hit me like a boom,
It is
something.
a
I can't explain it, but
It's
yeah.
stunning. People have never seen anything like it. I still don't know of anything like it that exists to this day. Imagine 10 acres of just sculptures, either huge on the ground or on pedestals, right? That's how we had them.
Hmm.
Endless art.
Yeah.
It's
My,
mind blowing, really. So you got
mhm.
to apprentice with him. You said he was,
Yeah.
you said he was a little crazy.
Of course, I think
He's an artist.
all those,
Artist.
I think when you go into this
That's a
profession,
pre-qualification.
you have to be a little bit somewhere off or something you push. I don't know.
You're
Yeah,
special.
that's something interesting there.
So then you went to Greece. You had kind of like not what I don't know what the word is for mid, but whatever. You had a lot of stuff happen in your life, and you just went there kind of on a sabbatical, right? And then you
Yeah.
got into sculpting.
Yeah, I had been thinking since 96, I had been thinking about coming to Greece for the first time. That's when I discovered the workshop in Pinos that I first came to. So from 96, it was in the back of my mind. I'm like, I'll go there someday to do this.
And when you told me you wanted to go, do you remember what I was
Yeah.
said? And
No.
I was like,
What did
"Go!
you?
You're meant to go."
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, "You're gonna meet someone there," and you did. And you had a
Yeah.
couple of children.
Yeah.
And so now you sculpt and you have a studio and you do commission art and you do educational things, right? You want to tell us a little bit about what you did with the Florida University and what you're doing, I believe, with Germany.
Uh, oh, yeah. Okay. We're in Germany. Okay. So yeah, today was a little bit of a headache. But I'm in communication with the University of Florida to do what they're calling the sculpture seminar. It's going to go live in end of March, March 26th, I think is the date. So what they've asked to do is um, for me to do a video, basically a video documentary. It's going to be like 10 minutes or something. So what I'll need to do is I'll need to sculpt, I'll need to create a model, um, and then a plaster cast, and then the copy into marble using the original archaic techniques from ancient Greece, which they're still researching and discovering now. But it's a system that's been passed down from master to student for thousands of years, and there's no literature on it. So it's a really interesting project. And to get into the technical details, it's a 3 point. It's called the 3 point caliper system. So it's a way of measuring a model into the marble and finding the depth. So they were using these systems in ancient times, and it's a new thing that scholars are now discovering this. So it's fascinating for me. It's a lot for
It's like
everyday
me and
here.
my love for humidity. Like people are like, shut up. And I'm like, what's the humidity there? No, I feel you. So let me ask you a couple questions about that. I have heard, and I don't know if it's true or not, but I love architecture and interior design. As you know, my father was a painter and I grew up around contractors my whole life. In fact, I grew up painting and decorating too, and I've remodeled 2 homes. So I'm obsessed with architecture.
Mhm.
And I always have been. I remember being with, my ex-husband and, just family, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, look at that building, and people like, oh my, they would roll their eyes like, please, but you either love it or you don't. So I've heard that with the ancient cathedrals that we don't really know how they were made, and I don't know if that's true or not. Do you know?
Okay, so well, ancient Greece, because there's a massive architecture. Yeah, they were masters of architecture, but it's not like we think of Michelangelo as, just carving into the stone and creating from his brain. They were very structured systems of measuring, geometry, mathematics, all of this
Right.
technical stuff they had down. So some
And
of
we
the
have lost a
processes,
lot of that knowledge. Like we can't
exactly,
duplicate these cathedrals. We don't know how to do
yeah,
it. We don't know how the pyramids were made. And like you're saying,
exactly, in the pyramids, yeah.
they're unleashing, it's kind of like they're bringing back like this old technology, this, like you said, this 3 point
Yeah.
system of measuring. So that is really
But
exciting.
I think it's important to, something that's not discovered or is not known to be able to recreate that and to kind of also link how we think today and say, okay, this is how our ancient ancestors thought.
Yeah.
And that's how we connect with the past.
So let me ask you two questions about sculpture. The first one is, now the guy in Indiana, I mean, you said that you said Michelangelo just carving out of his mind inspiration, but I mean, was he really doing that, or are you saying that he actually followed a system, or that he was just a special type of artist who did it from his mind?
I think for figurative work, he was extremely talented. Don't get me wrong. He's like the best of the in our history. But from a teenager, he was drawing and studying the human figure and form. But of course, he was also using models and
Okay.
measuring techniques.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Something more abstract figurative work that is more free flowing and stuff. Okay. This is called direct carving. And you just do go in with your brain, or you draw the outline of your form from a drawing first. And then you start to carve and then find the way as you go, which is more of a free way of doing it. And this is more a modern style.
My last question though is about the guy in Indiana. Was he doing freeform sculpture? Because it seemed like I don't remember a lot of bodies.
He did human figures. He did a lot of human figures. Like there's a
Abstract.
portrait of
Yeah.
dancing women. Hmm?
He did do some like hard, like, okay.
But not realistic. They were all
Okay.
abstract figurative pieces.
That's what I thought too. They were beautiful
Yeah.
abstracts too. Okay. So what do you love most about your profession?
Oh yeah, it's challenging.
Is it relaxing? Is
So
it your nerves?
two parts. The two parts is one is the creation and to go through the creative process of doing a piece of work that's from me or from wherever. And the other part is to teach. Is doing the workshops where people are coming and I'm able to share the history and be in the garden and
Your
just
passion. So Maggie, for those that are watching that don't know, Maggie actually hosts experiences through Airbnb. People visit Greece. How many visitors did you say that you guys get a year in that island?
there's probably 500,000 this year.
Yeah, yeah. So
Visitors.
so you host live workshops where people come and visit you. They take a boat to get to your island,
Mhm.
and she lives on an island, Naxos, in a little village, and you host live workshops where you are out in a garden and you're teaching people about your passion, and they leave with sculpting knowledge and it's exciting. So you really enjoy that.
It's a lot of fun. It's almost not like work. So
But what do you like least about it?
this last year it was more about because I enjoy and the popularity of this program became so much that I was actually struggling to find my balance again.
Because
So
you're
that's because it was like, okay, people are coming and it was very overwhelming. I wanted to dial back.
yeah,
I'm sorry.
you were working so much that you were exhausted.
Yeah, I was doing morning 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening, but then all the preparation and setup time and all the in between things and emails and all this, it is all consuming.
There's a lot.
So what I was saying before about having simple simplicity, it was getting out of control, which is great. I mean, great, a great success, right?
But
I, I want to dial back and find the balance of family, the kids, work, and of course, sustaining our lifestyle. So this is
so
always
so where do you see yourself in 1 year?
in 1 year. Well, this is
You
also
said it like Johnny Depp when he's reading questions in 1 year. Hmm.
1 year. I see, well, I'm thinking about to 6 months at least. So in 1 year, I hope we have finished another summer season and not have to be able to work on my own personal things during the winter. But we're going through a major transition. I'm moving to a new workshop and
Yeah, so Maggie's just relocated to a new village. She used to be
Mhm.
north, east facing, and now she's south and west facing. And that's another nerdy thing about me. I'm really direction is so important to me. You can call me obsessed. I know, right? But this is about sunlight and exposure. And when you look at my human design, one of my main lines is about light to darkness and darkness to light. I mean, I had a nervous breakdown whenever I arrived in Florida to my place. I rented a place sight unseen on a small island in Florida, which sounds great, right? Because I'm at the best beach in the country, Lido Key and Siesta Key. But when I got here, there's no light in the building, and I literally like devastated for 3 days. I was like, oh my God, I made the biggest mistake, and it still bugs me. So like Maggie's now on a southwest facing island. She has a balcony, and it's really, really neat because the old homes in Greek, they had separate rooms where you have to walk into a different space for each room, which, instead of that open plan like we have in America.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's interesting how the architecture is designed because it makes sense. Now, the owner was like, okay, no, it's too cold during winter. But when I got here, really, because it's the outside courtyard and the walls around it, it's enclosed from the elements.
So you're
So
wind a little bit.
it holds the heat and the walls are this thick.
Incredible.
Yeah. So I just did a little bit of detail under the doors to add some weather stripping so that the air is not coming in. And it's like it's been holding the heat amazing.
Is it refreshing to be in a new village?
It is. The people here are amazing. And of course every village says, oh, this is such a nice village and everyone's so nice. And I literally can't walk down. I go to the mini market and then we have a butcher shop and like two tavernas. So, and once you move in, you literally can't walk down the street to do one thing without talking for like 10 minutes to the neighbor.
I would just be like the one phrase I would know in Greek is gotta go. Sorry, bye. Meeting.
But
I'm kind of kidding. I think it's really sweet. But I mean, anyone who knows me knows, my impatience problem, gate 5. It's just that but that's sweet. I know that's what you're getting at. So that's great. So what does your diet generally consist of? If I came to dinner, what would we be having on most nights? Or give me a couple of menus for 2 nights or something.
oh, okay. So I do a mix of I like the traditional Greek style, but really this time a lot of fruit right now for breakfast. And with the kids, they're so picky. So basically, for me personally, if it was just me, it would be eggs and avocados. Because that's also local, and then all the fruits, all the fresh fruits right now.
So tell me what kind of fruit you guys
And I
eat.
do. What's that?
What kind of fruit would you have for breakfast? Or fruits? What
Oh, the tangerines, oranges, and bananas, and apples, and pomegranate.
Okay, cool. So do you just make like a little fruit bowl or just pick an apple? pomegranate that
Yeah,
makes.
I make a fruit bowl and then everybody snack on it.
Do you have a milk with it or a grain or anything?
No, not usually.
No whipped cream.
I don't usually uh I usually don't eat a lot until like 11 a.m.
No, no,
So
that makes sense. Okay, and then your eggs, do you eat those for dinner or those for breakfast too? I know a lot of people eat eggs at dinner.
oh, for dinner, no, I usually for like a brunch,
And how do you like them?
I like them over easy.
So does that mean for me, I like the white done and the yellow soft. I cannot stand
Yeah.
a runny white.
I like between the runny, this is very hard to get perfect, but between the running and the gel, when
Yeah.
it gels,
Yeah. But
yeah.
for you have to have the
So
white done though. Do you like the white all done?
yeah, the white.
I cannot handle runny white.
No, the runny white, no.
So for
But
dinner, though, like what are we having for dinner? Lentils? Are we
uh,
having meat? What?
yesterday I made pork. It's not pork chops, but It's called brizolas here. So no, pancetta. Uh, anyway, I made some rice. I just picked up some rice that had some porcini mushroom mix in it. So a little bit of grilled meat and rice with porcinis.
That sounds good. Do the kids like that?
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
Good, good. Now, do you guys like drink dairy and milk, and is it raw or pasteurized there, or are you dairy free?
The kids they drink. I do get an organic goat milk.
Now, is that local or is that store bought, like from in a package that's been shipped
It's
Naxos?
it's store bought, but it's a Greek brand.
Cool, cool. You're just not
So
buying any local raw milk, is what you're saying.
no,
No.
there's a lot of cows around here, but they do have the Graviera cheese, Naxos. So we do have a cow population of local milk, but I don't know. I'm
You're not. So, do you cook with dairy much at all or no?
not so much.
And if you do milk, are you tend to towards goat milk?
We got milk and a little tiny bit of butter. That's okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, all right, then that's very, very interesting. And what is your favorite Greek food? Like if you could have something every day, what is it?
That's a good question. What's my favorite Greek food? Um,
Yes. Domas. Just kidding. I
well,
don't know.
I love spanakopita, the,
Panakopita.
the spinach pie.
Right.
That's the only thing that I get from the bakery. I do love the it's called Zaya flour that or Zos flour, and it's an emmer wheat, and it's the original grain, uh, the ancient grain, and you can buy it here really cheaply, actually.
And you make baked
I
goods.
think it does diki the diki kokom. I think that's the Latin name for it, diki kokom.
So are you eating pita and like do they have like baba ganoush there and what bulgur wheat bulgur, do you have stuff like that? Is it kind of like a
I think they do have bulgur wheat. I
yeah,
think that the that's more of a Turkish thing. They don't
yeah,
use
it's
it a
more of
lot.
an Iberian Peninsula type food.
And and lentils, I do like lentils too
Yeah,
a
so do
lot.
you have green lentils there
Yeah.
or red lentils or both? When I say red, I mean orange, but they call them red.
Oh, okay. No, it's mostly the dark ones.
The green
But
ones. Yeah, they're really good.
yeah,
I love when you
the
make them in
cream and brown. Yeah.
a water and that milky stuff, that's the calcium.
Oh, okay.
You know, they're full of calcium and fiber.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do love lentils.
what's the thing that you won't touch there, food wise? Like, what's the thing you're like, no? Is there any yucky foods? Are there
I
any?
don't know. Like, I'm not hot on stuffed tomatoes with rice. It gives me a bat or the cabbage lacano risotto. It's the cabbage rice dish. And if I eat that, I have a blood sugar crash like an hour later.
Okay.
So that's the main reason. Like I can't do rice and vegetables. I
Interesting.
need, yeah,
So
I
you do rice and mushrooms. But do you think it's something to do with one being a white rice and one being a brown wild rice?
probably, yeah, with
Because the
like a
white rice
basmati. I usually get basmati or the mixed grain rice or wild
it
rice,
makes me
but
wonder if what they're putting in those other dishes is white rice.
they they just use cheap white rice. I think maybe that's what it is.
What's funny though is some people, believe it or not, that have ulcerative colitis or digestive gut health issues, believe it or not, you know, for me with the school and my own personal diet, I mean, I'll eat greens all day long, but I try to generally just avoid them for my overall health. But when people have ulcerative colitis or things like that, and they, aren't prepared or aren't, honestly educated about giving those things up, it's safer for them to eat white rice, which is really weird because it is that glucose spike. Why? Because the fiber in the brown rice can really aggravate their condition. Wasn't that mind blowing?
Okay, so that's like sort of a
Kind of a something you wouldn't
double
really.
thing. Yeah,
Okay, so here's the last question. Will you ever leave Greece, or is it where you plan to live and die?
yeah, yeah. It's a hard question. I've thought about this before. If I wanted to leave here, where would I go? And
Well, I'm always nagging you to get over here with me. And
uh,
you're like, no. She's like, no, I like Greece. She's like, no, no.
I don't know. Yeah, yeah, it depends. It's it would be a place that I don't know exists yet. That's what it would be.
I hear you. So otherwise, yes, you will live and die there.
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
I wonder if they allow green burial there. That's a good question. Green burial, where you're not like in a big glorified bourgeoisie case that never biodegrades, right? It's
I
weird,
think,
our burial process.
yeah, interesting.
Bizarre.
Um, I think, yeah, I have no idea, but most are burial, and maybe they have cremation here. I don't know.
Would you get cremated or would you be buried? Or is
I
that
would,
kids to decide?
I like those tree things that they plant a tree on top of you.
That's a great idea. It's way better than what we've got going on over here. So I guess that brings us to the end of our interview. We have a couple more minutes. If you have any questions, you can ask me. And if not, we can wrap it up.
Okay. So, uh, any questions I have for you?
If you have any, it's not a.
Touched on a bunch of things. Um, so I don't know. Uh,
I mean, you pretty much know everything about me.
I do,
You
but for everyone else,
right.
um,
Even watching, she really already knows everything. The good, bad.
for for your work, your work, what truly makes you grateful for to keep moving forward every day?
What keeps me moving forward with my work?
Mhm.
I mean, number one, I mean, it's my work. It's what I do. I really was frustrated over the last couple of years because it's like once you create something and you have a vision, you still have to know, um, you can even know everything technical, and all of that stuff doesn't matter if your energetics are off. So once I got my energetics aligned, I felt a lot more comfortable with my work. But I just think that it's just something that I struggled with. So what keeps me going is just, I mean, number one, I mean, I eat, live, and breathe health. I'm a health nerd, There's just no getting around it. And it gives me a community of people that are just, basically like me. And the good thing is I tend to attract a lot of highly ethical people. So there's no like rub there. It's not like I'm trying to reach and please everybody. It's just people that are in congruence with what I'm doing. And I just like it that we can all kind of respect each other's differences, because we have some people that are for and against certain things. And as long as we can peacefully agree to disagree, that's kind of the goal, is just like true cohesion. I don't know what the word is, instead of expecting everybody to think and be the same.
Exactly. So whatever you put out there, you're going to attract the same sort of people in your life to continue and make that. I've found the exact same thing. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So it's a sense of trust for that.
Yeah.
Keep doing what we're doing, and everything, all the right people will come and fall in line into the.
Yeah, when we're grounded and centered and aligned here, right?
Yeah,
But if we're
yeah,
not, we're insecure in our approach, and we're unsure, and we attract people that are insecure and unsure, right?
exactly.
Like, oh, then we're basically in that zone, right? Isn't that what it's called, like the zone or whatever? But what's
Yeah,
really funny though, talking about business, I told you I just did 2 major coaching things, and that's what's helped be kind of the foundation of the school's business, because you can teach people how to practice holistic medicine, but you can't neglect the business side of it, right? That's just a realistic aspect. And one of the things that I learned was nervous system regulation through breathing. My coach was just like, go look up Wim Hof. I think that's his name. I don't remember.
yeah. Wim Hof. I love him. I love him completely.
I know. And I was thinking about you, because you were trying to kind of send me in that direction a little bit. But I wasn't having it back then, like a year ago. And I look at pictures of myself a year ago, and I'm just literally like almost in shock. Like I don't recognize that person. Do you know what I mean? I recognize it, and I'm just like, wow. And that's one of my other questions, is like, what would you go back and tell, your younger self? What would you tell your younger self?
Yeah. So do you think we have communication with, I think we have communication with our future self,
You do.
maybe.
I
If
mean,
we, okay, now we get into metaphysics and time and all
right.
this
Like if you
stuff.
go back and
But
tell your younger self something, what would you tell yourself?
okay, so
This is gonna happen, girl. You want to avoid it, or you'd be like
yeah, you
prepared.
can tell your younger self. Okay, so if it's a healing part, maybe you can talk to your younger self and tell your younger self what your experience has given you and what you've learned, and that everything's going to be okay in the future. And then that could be part of the healing process for these things that we cling on to in our past.
Mhm. Yeah, but I'm asking you personally, what would you tell yourself if you
Oh,
could?
what would I tell myself?
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I know.
Um,
I don't know
I,
either. It's a good question though, right? It's something to think about.
yeah. Okay. If there's, okay, I would have to go deep into that and to think about it because, of course, we want to heal ourselves from what's happened in the past.
I know I probably, like, if I had to give an answer on the spot, I would just be like, this is what it feels like when you're red flagged, or your intuition is talking to you. Like, your intuition is going to tell you what to do throughout the day. It's just going to be this little voice that'll just give you suggestions. It's this other part of yourself that is wiser, and it will just tell you in advance, like, don't throw that away, you're going to need that later. You throw it away, well, you needed it later. Oh, I didn't listen. Oh wow. That's a small scale, but it also happens on a large scale, where things that really fucking matter, and we take the wrong path often, over and over and over and over and over again, and our intuition is still there.
Yeah.
It's just learning how to tap into it. And I would say that, whenever, excuse me, when you're in a dangerous situation, and when I say dangerous, I mean you can be appearing safe, but say that someone toxic or dangerous, or someone who is deceiving you or lying to you, there's abuse, right? Your body will tell you before the facts appear, because your
Mhm.
body, it's going to activate your nervous system regulation. And that's how you know. And you can re-regulate it right in that moment, but you pay attention instead of ignoring it, setting it aside, right? Defect, deny, delay. And instead I would just be like, listen to it the first time. It'll make your life so much easier. That's what I would have told myself.
Okay.
Become a best friend with your intuition.
Yeah. And these are things that are not, these are things
They're not
that
taught.
are not,
We
they're
should.
not taught. And we have to figure them out on ourselves.
Yeah, and this
And
is something that should be mandatory.
it's a battle between what is going on inside ourselves. Like, okay, yeah, I listen to her, I don't listen, I do this. We make choices based on
The mind. We're on our minds all the time instead of making them intuitively, right?
right.
So that was a big thing that I learned this quarter was getting out of my head and really getting into my intuition. That's really an empowering thing.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So, okay. The tree looks lovely. And you said both the kids were homesick today?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I hope that they're better. They'll be better in a couple days.
Yeah.
And make them some broth and something nourishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we go, I want to ask a quick question. I know lamb and goat. Is lamb and goat, are they cultural meats there?
Yeah. Lamb more than goat, but there are some, yeah.
More the Middle Eastern, right?
Yeah, they just do lamb usually on Easter.
Okay. So everybody's not eating like ground lamb every day, like ground hamburger.
No, not really. Yeah.
All right, love. I was just curious.
All right, good to see you.
Thanks for the interview.
Welcome to Unfiltered with Ava. That's me, your host. Perpetually curious, I love interviewing intriguing people across the globe every chance I get.